Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel ForexPnL, where we focus on making big profits and small losses. Today is the 14th of January 2022. It's Friday and the markets are going to be closing in an hour's time. And it's time for me to do my weekend Forex forecast for the upcoming week. Now, without any further delays, guys, let's get it started. As usual, I'm going to be taking a look at the economical calendar to see what we have in stock for next week. As you can see right here, as far as news that we have scheduled on the economical calendar, we have a light calendar next week, okay? On Sunday, which is the 16th, we have the GDP, okay, from the Chinese axis, okay? I don't usually trade on Sundays. And then on Monday, you can see we have a bank holiday. That's a holiday in the United States. And we have the Bank of Japan outlook reports, which is a tentative activity also scheduled for Monday. And then we don't have any activity on Tuesday, as you can see here. But then on Wednesday, we have the remainder of the news, okay? From the British axis, we have the CPIs and also CPI from Canadian axis as well, okay? And not much of a deviation anticipated, but who knows? But then and also we have the Bank of England governor speaking at 9:15 a.m. all times again at Eastern time, and then 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday we have the employment and unemployment data coming from the Australian axis. Okay, and that's pretty much the news we have for this week. As you can see, on Thursday and Friday we don't have any items on the calendar. Please keep in mind that it's very, very important that you refresh your economical calendar very often, because I've seen situations whereby you take a look at the calendar on the weekend and it's like there is no news item on Thursday and Friday, only for you to log in again, take a look at it on Tuesday, and then you see something pop up on Thursday and Friday. Okay, so an item can be added easily to this particular calendar, but again, based on the information we have right now, these are the items that we have right now on the economical calendar. All right, so now we are going to be going back to the charts. I'm going to be kicking things off with US dollar Swiss francs. As usual, I'm going to run through all the major currency pairs, and then I'll also take a look at the cross pairs that are giving me a technical level to keep an eye on. Okay, so I'm kicking things off with US dollar Swiss francs. As you can see here, what we have is an outside bar. Okay, comparing last week's price action to this week's price action, we have an outside bar. And right now, honestly, I don't really like this particular trend line anymore, because you can see the market has broken that trend line and then closed above it again, and now it's almost like we're going to be closing below it again. So it's either I adjust it or I take it out completely. Personally, I think I'm going to be taking it out completely, and from the look of things, it's as if the market is finding support off of this area around here. Okay, but again, well, let's see what happens. Okay, personally, there is no high quality area in this particular area as far as I'm concerned. Okay, but right now you can see that we have an outside bar. Let's see what the markets will do going into next week. Not much of an information for me to siphon from here. Okay, price gave us a retracement. It's as if we are still ranging heavily. You can see price attempted to get towards that 0.9300 level. We fell to the downside, and then we got another push to the upside, and price is also finding resistance from that area. Okay, so let's see how it goes. In my own opinion, I still will prefer to see the markets give me maybe a little push to the upside, and then before the markets maybe push down again. But that's a low quality trade, to be completely honest with you. In the long run, what I would love to really see is for the markets to give me maybe a little push to the downside. Okay, let's say maybe a little retracement and then a push to the downside before testing this particular area, before we get another nice push to the upside into this weekly selling origin. This is the kind of price action that is going to make sense in my own opinion, at least from this particular time frame. Okay, because we have a level right here. That the markets can easily manipulate as well. So I would like to see price manipulate below these particular levels, dip into this area, this buying origin, and then give us another push to the upside. That's the kind of price action that I would love to see see in this particular currency pair. But again, who knows? Only time can tell what this market is going to do. But at this particular point where the market is right now, it's just ranging in the longer time frame. All right, now taking a look at the daily charts, not much to be honest with you. You can see that we have an area of resistance right around this particular price level, around 0.9275 area, and we are having a support in this neighborhood as well, right around 0.9100 institutional price level. Okay, so that is the area in this particular currency pair that is now working as you know, the top of the range and the bottom of the range respectively. So this is the area that I am referring to right here. Okay, so the market, you can see, is pretty much like we are bouncing in this particular area, okay, up and down. Okay, so no trade opportunities based on how I trade, but well, you can see you can use this particular high and low level as your guide, you know, if you prefer to trade in this particular range. All right, now that's it for US dollar Swiss francs. Honestly, not much going on. Now the next up is going to be Euro US dollar. So let's take a look and see what we have in Euro US dollar. Now for Euro US dollar, this is pretty much working in a textbook manner, guys. If you guys remember in my weekend Forex forecast, okay, the last weekend Forex forecast, and even the midweek Forex forecast that I did this week, if I told you guys that I would prefer to see this market actually give me a push to the upside, because I would want to see the markets give me a dip into this weekly supply zone. We are yet to get that dip inside this weekly supply zone. So honestly, my preferred move next week is that somehow maybe the market is going to give me a dip in, you know, another push to the upside next week into this weekly supply zone, and then from there, you know, if the bears begin to come into this market, that might be time for this market to start giving us another rotation to the downside. Okay, but for now, price has succeeded in breaking above that flat top triangle, and right now the expectation is that in the smaller time frames, this level is now this 1.1386 level is now going to work as support for maybe another push to the upside into this weekly supply zone, from where I will expect the bears to maybe give us another move to the downside. But again, in terms of price action for the week, you can see that we had last week closed the pin bar, and this week gave us a nice push to the upside, actually succeeding in closing above the high of this particular triangle. Okay, so that's a good thing in my own opinion for the bulls. Okay, now going into the daily time frame, what do we have? The picture becomes clearer. You can see that flat top triangle, and right now we've gotten the breakout of that particular top, okay, of the flat top, and price is now giving us a pullback towards that top again. We can easily retest the top of this triangle, and markets might bounce off again to the upside, or in my best case scenario, price giving us a dip into this 4 hours demand zone, and then from here giving us another push to the upside. That is going to be my preferred move. That is the move that I would prefer to see next week. Okay, so let's see how that goes. Now from the 4 hours time frame, like I had pointed out, guys, you will see that in this area right here, we have mapped out the demand zone in the 4 hours time frame, okay, that was formed as a result of this break of structure. Okay, so you can see this demand zone right here that broke this levels of structure massively to the upside. Okay, so this demand zone was formed in the process. As usual, guys, I'll be waiting to see, you know, I would love to see price give me a dip into this demand zone, maybe to retest, let's say 113.75 level, anywhere right around here. If the market gives me any push to the upside, bounce to the upside and reversal, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that is going to be my preferred move in this particular currency pair. And like I said, I would like to see that move give me a push into the weekly supply zone that we have in this particular area. All right, so that's it for Euro US dollar. As usual, guys, like I said earlier, I just started making the midweek Forex forecast videos, so keep an eye on an updated analysis for this particular currency pair, okay, because I will be analyzing it again when the market opens by Tuesday. You know, once the market has normalized for the week, I'm going to be putting out that midweek Forex forecast. Like I said, I usually release those videos around 1 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays. So keep an eye on an eye out for those, and you know, hopefully you gain some value from those particular videos as well. All right, so that's it, guys. For Euro US dollar. Next up is going to be Australian dollar US dollar. Okay, now for Australian dollar US dollar, you can see it's pretty much the same story. Let's take a look at the weekly time frame. So for the weekly time frame, honestly, not much. Price just gave us a nice push to the upside. Hopefully, maybe a liquidity grab above the high of the past 2 weeks. And you can see right now the bears are coming back again into the markets, and that might succeed in closing this week a pin bar. Okay, a bearish pin bar. So this is looking more bearish than bullish in based on the price action that we got for this particular week. But again, only time can tell. Let's take a look and see what's going on the daily time frame. Now, from the daily time frame, you notice again, price continues. In terms of structure, we are still looking bullish. Okay, nothing has changed. You notice that price gave us a dip to the downside into this particular demand zone that we have in this area. Okay, so this is the demand zone. All right, price gave us a dip into that demand zone, and you can see we got a nice push to the upside that broke again this level of structure, so creating this particular demand zone right here. And you notice that based on today's price action in Australian dollar US dollar, we have gotten a retest of this particular demand zone, the top of this demand zone, and you can see that the market is already reacting off of that 0.7200 institutional price level. Okay, so who knows, from here maybe the markets can open next week, and AUD US dollar might again give us another push to the upside. Also remember that we have some fundamentals in the calendar for next week on Wednesday, the employment and unemployment data from the Australian axis. So that's something to keep an eye on going into next week for this particular currency pair. Okay, but again, it's not high quality at this particular moment. It's just a lot of hesitation, in my opinion. We are not getting clear pushes, okay, to the upside. Take a look and see how the markets dropped in this area. Okay, very decisive moves. Okay, little pullback, nice move to the downside. Little pullback, nice push to the downside. But here you see we got a push, a lot of hesitation, a little push, a lot of hesitation, another push, even barely taking off the high. So the bulls are not clearly in this market, even though from a structural perspective the market is still scoring higher highs and higher lows. Okay, just I wanted to point that out. In my own opinion, if I get the same setups to go long next week, I think I'm going to be preferring the setups that come, let's say, in Euro US dollar and in British pounds US dollar, that we're going to be taking a look at very soon. Okay, now in the 4 hours time frame of Australian dollar US dollar, well, not much. If you notice, this pair actually is giving us a bounce off of this particular demand zone. Okay, so there's a demand zone in this area right here. Okay, in the 4 hours time frame. I just didn't want to mark it so that I wouldn't clutter my charts, but you notice that this is a 4 hours demand zone that led to the break of these levels of structure that we have in this area. So you notice that the price just dropped, and right now it's as if the bulls are trying to protect that area again. Now, in my own opinion, I usually don't like this type of setups, to be honest with you, and the reason is because it's weekend, markets can open with thin liquidity at any particular level. So I would like to stay away from talking deeply into this particular setup at the moment. Okay, but it's looking as if the markets will maybe bounce off from this particular area. Okay, you notice this is also happening right around 0.7200 institutional price level. So who knows, maybe the bulls can come in from here and give us a nice push to the upside. That is very, very possible. Okay, but it is not very, very convincing because of the time at which we are getting this reaction. All right, so again, another reason to keep an eye out for those midweek forex forecasts. All right, that's it for Australian dollar US dollar. Now next up is going to be New Zealand US dollar. Now for New Zealand US dollar, very beautiful. You will see in just pretty similar to Australian dollar US dollar, but let me start off from the weekly time frame. Not much. Earlier I told you guys, I think in last weekend, some forecast that we are bouncing off of a demand zone in the weekly time frame right around 0.6700 institutional price level. But again, you'll notice that that bounce is not happening in momentum. Okay, so the bulls came into this market, but they are really not going anywhere. The market has been ranging for a few weeks now, in this particular area. Okay, right around 100 or 125 pips range. Okay, and you notice that this week's price action also close the pin bar, so that's something to keep an eye on, because the bears can easily come in next week and continue to push these markets to the downside, scoring new lows. That is very, very possible. Okay, so this is not a very high quality setup, at least based on what we can see from the longer time frames. Now going into the daily charts, pretty similar to what I had just explained for Australian dollar, US dollar. Actually, this is even worse than the Australian dollar, US dollar setup, okay? You can see clearly that this is just a range. The market is yet to take off to the upside in this particular currency pair. The 4 hours time frame, we have the demand zone, okay? So we expect maybe some boosts to come in here and flex their muscle, but who knows? This is also a supply area in this region here, so price can easily give you a push to the upside from here and again continue to drop, okay? Not the highest quality setup in my own opinion, even though this is a solid looking demand zone, okay? My problem here is just in the time at which this move is occurring. I will state that again, okay? All right, now next up is going to be cable, British pound, some US dollar. Now this pair is moving very, very nicely. If you guys remember in last week's analysis, I told you guys that there is a possibility. As a matter of fact, let me map that out right around here. Okay, so this is a weekly supply zone that I had told you guys, okay, formed as a result of this break of structure. And I told you guys that yes, we are moving in a falling channel, and you know, prices was approaching the falling channel, the trend line of that falling channel, and I told you guys there is a chance that price can easily break above this falling channel and dip into this particular weekly supply zone, and you know, from there the sellers can start coming in. All right, so that's something to keep an eye on as we take a look in this particular currency pair. Yes, we are bouncing off of a weekly demand zone. Yes, we are breaking above the trend line of a falling channel, which all should suggest that the bulls are in this market, but at the same time we have this solid weekly supply zone that we also have to keep an eye on, okay? But in the meantime, there's no confirmation that this weekly supply zone is holding, so I'm not going to pay it so much mind until the price starts to reverse clearly in this particular time frame. That is when I'm going to be interested, in making any decisions off of this particular trading level. All right. Now, going into the daily time frame, what do we have? Not much from a daily perspective, to be honest with you. The market is just, almost on a steep move to the upside, okay? Not much is going on. The bulls are clearly on, from a daily time frame perspective. Now, taking a look at the 4 hours time frame, it's really looking nice, just like in the case of euro dollar. Notice how this market has been forming higher highs and higher lows, and then after breaking off from this particular area, you can see that the markets give us a nice expansion to the upside, okay? And I had told you guys in the midweek forex forecast that I think price was right around here, and I told you guys that what I would love to see is for price to give me a nice push to the upside, okay, into that weekly supply zone, from where I would love to see the bears come into this market. And that's pretty much how this market played out. And right now, in the process of that nice push to the upside, price has now given us another demand zone in this particular area for this particular currency pair, okay, in the 4 hours time frame. So right now, this is now an area to keep an eye on. Who knows, next week, maybe when the market opens, we might get a push to the downside into this particular demand zone. From here, if the market gives me any reversals to the upside, I'll be looking for another opportunity for another push to the upside, being careful that we are now in the weekly supply zone that I had mapped out from the longer time frame, okay? So that's pretty much what I'm seeing right now in British pounds and US dollar. Next up is going to be US dollar, Canadian dollar. What do we have here? Now, this pair is now looking bearish, okay? This was the analysis from last week, and I told you guys, we are looking bearish. I mapped out this level from the midweek forex forecast, and I'm still keeping this particular level right now. Who knows, from here what I can see right now is maybe price might give me a little push, maybe we may get a push to the downside, another attack to this particular supply zone, okay? It's very, very possible, and then price might continue again to the downside. Who knows? Again, remember, this is not the track that this market must take. Markets can easily open next week and you might get a little push to the upside, and then from here markets will drop without even getting to the supply zone, okay? So that's something to keep an eye on. The aim here is to make sure that you are always following the markets and adjusting your demand and supply zones as the markets form those levels, okay? So that's it for US dollar and Canadian dollar. In my own opinion, it is a bearish market. If we take a look at the weekly time frame, what do we have? Clear bearish move, okay? We got this nice trend line. The bears broke the trend line in momentum. Last week we got a nice push into that supply zone on the daily time frame, retested the trend line from below, got the bears to come in and close that week a very beautiful pin bar, and this week we are now following it up with another nice bullish and with another nice bearish candle. Okay, so the bears are in this market, so the aim here is to just wait for price to give us some nice pullbacks, okay, into supply zones that form on the smaller time frame for further continuations to the downside, at least till we get towards this buying origin that we have in this particular area. Okay, that's going to be my game plan for US dollar Canadian dollar going into next week. Now next up is US dollar Japanese yen. Well, this particular currency pair right now, in my opinion, I am not taking any trades from this particular currency pair. I am pretty much watching it at the moment. Not much. It looks as if we are bullish from the longer time frames. You can see how the weekly charts looks like we are bullish, but at the same time, you see we topped out here with a pin bar last week, and I told you guys that this was a very huge concern, the fact that we are now closing this a pin bar, and that from here the bears can easily come into these markets and push price to the downside. And notice how they push price to the downside into this weekly demand zone, and some bulls are now coming into this market again. So this right now is between a selling origin and a demand zone. No space in between pretty much for me to make any trading decisions, so I am not going to be paying any mind to US dollar Japanese yen as we go into next week. Maybe as we get more price action going into next week, then I might have an updated analysis for US dollar Japanese yen, but at this particular moment I would prefer to stay away from making any forecast on that. Now the last but not the least for the majors is going to be British pound, some Japanese yen, and well, this pair in the long time now, you can see it's been ranging. Price gave us another push again to the upside. Didn't quite form a new high, all right? And we just pretty much retested last week's high, and you can see this week we closed, you know, very thin body, not much of a price action. What do they call this again? A spinning top? I don't even know the name of these candlesticks, guys. But you get the idea. Not much of a price action in this particular level here. So not much to be said from a weekly perspective. Going into the daily charts now, things begin to become more clearer. I am keeping an eye on this particular demand zone that we have here, and also bear in mind that this is also a demand zone in here. So I call this a demand zone because of the break of this level of structure right here, and this a demand zone because of the break of this level of structure right here. Okay, so both of them are equally valid, and you see that from the price action we got today, price gave us a dip into this particular demand zone from right around 150 155.50 area. You can see that the bulls came into this market and they were now succeeding in closing this week with a very nice retracement, okay, closing this day a pin bar. So I won't be surprised if the market opens next week and from here the bulls come in again to push these markets to the upside. I would not be surprised if that happens, okay? But again, I need to see more price action, at least from what I'm seeing right now, to make any decisions in this particular currency pair. Now, that being said, from the 4 hours time frame, well, this is also a supply zone. I just didn't map it out because of the time of the day, like I said earlier. But if you go into the hourly time frame, you will notice that we also have a supply zone. I mapped this out earlier today, but right now I'm really not keeping an eye on it, again because of the time of the day, okay, that this supply zone is being retested. So I can as well go ahead and take that out right now. So let's see how it goes, okay? If this level holds, then we might get another push to the downside. But if price from, let me repeat again, if this level holds, this supply zone that I had mapped out, if it holds, then from here we might get another push to the downside. But if we begin to break above these particular supply zones that we have in this area, then chances are the bulls may be coming into this market for another push to the upside, okay? Just something to keep in mind, and I'm going to give an updated forecast in the midweek forex forecast that I'll be releasing on Wednesday next week, okay? So that's it for British pound, some Japanese yen, and that's it for the majors. Now taking a look at some cross pairs, British pound, some Swiss francs. Well, this one is looking interesting and playing out perfectly, okay? Bouncing between weekly demand zones and weekly supply zones that we have identified on our charts, okay? If you guys remember, I told you that well, price was bouncing off of weekly demand zone, that we had mapped out, and that the most possible cause here is that from here price is going to give us a push to the upside into this weekly supply zone, and you can see that that is what price did, and from here you can see the rejection we are getting as a result of the bounce off of this weekly supply zone that we have in this neighborhood. So who knows, from here, you never know, next week we might get another push again to the upside to retest some supply zones from where maybe price might continue to push again to the downside. Only time will tell what will happen in this particular currency pair. But well, from what I'm seeing right now, price is pretty much bouncing between a weekly supply zone and a weekly demand zone like I have mapped out. Now, in the daily time frame, not much going on. Obviously, this area right here is going to be an area of interest for me, but again, I'm waiting for more price action to develop before I map out these levels. But this is going to be an area of interest in my own opinion, because you can see that price gave us a push to the upside in here. Gave us another push to the downside, retested that area but did not quite break. We consolidated for a while and then boom to the upside, taking off this previous level of structure that we have here, so creating this demand zone in the process. So from here, you never know, the markets might give us another push to the upside for a possible push into, let's say, 123.50 institutional price level to retest this demand zone, from where the bulls might come back into this market again to push price again to the upside. Okay, that is what I can see from the daily time frame of this particular currency pair. Now, not much from the 4 hours time frame. If you pay attention to the 4 hours time frame, you notice that slowly but surely it's as if the market wants to start shifting to the downside. The shift is not yet happening, and the reason why I say that is because if you pay attention, this is pretty much the last demand zone that we have in this particular currency in the on the move to the upside. Okay, but you notice that right now we are, even though price is looking like it's bouncing off, but you see that it's not necessarily bouncing off. A move to the upside, the bears come back into the market. This might continue for a while, and then before you know it, another push to the upside before the bears now come in and break this level in momentum. Okay, that is what I would love to see going into next week. If that happens, then I'll be waiting for pullbacks into supply zones that's formed in the smaller time frames for possible continuations to the downside, paying attention to this demand zone area that I had mapped out. Okay, that is going to be my game plan for British pounds and Swiss francs going into next week. Next up is Australian dollar Swiss francs. Okay, now this particular currency pair, not much in terms of a level, but it is looking very bearish in my opinion from the longer time frames. Okay, it's looking bearish. So let's go into the weekly. You'll notice that for a few weeks now, actually for about 5-6 weeks now, price has been finding resistance right around 0.6675 level. Look at the wicks that we have to the upside. Price is finding it difficult to break above that level, and we also have a very solid supply zone in this particular neighborhood in the weekly time frame. Okay, we're also building liquidity here. So look at this week's price action. This week's price action is about to close a very massive pin bar, bearish pin bar. So all of these are adding up to a possible selling that is going to happen in the longer time frame of this particular currency pair. But that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, we are not just going to jump in, but I just wanted to point that out, that it's looking nice. So in the event that, let's say, this market begins to clearly break again to the downside, I believe the move is going to be massive for a very nice push to the downside. Okay, from here, you never know, this could also easily be a liquidity grab. That price can easily dip to the upside to grab liquidity above these highs that we have here into this weekly supply zone before the drop happens. Who knows? Only time will tell. But I just wanted to show you guys what I could see on my charts. Okay, now that's it for what I'm seeing in Australian dollar Swiss francs from the weekly time frame. Now from the daily time frame, not much. Again, I've mapped out a daily supply zone, which I'm also now just going to be extending. All right, and that daily supply zone is nested inside the weekly supply zone. So let's see how it goes. Like I said, I'm just going to be keeping an eye on those levels. Key level here, should we get a move to the upside, is going to be 0.6700, from where I believe that the bears might start coming into this market for another possible push to the downside. In the event that we don't make it to that level, I might also be keeping an eye on this particular trend line right around here, which is also now broken. Okay, so let's see how this plays out. If price begins to clearly trade below this trend line, then chances are we might actually be beginning that push to the downside. Who knows? Only time will tell. But I just wanted to show you guys what I can see on my charts. Now, from a 4 hours time frame, yes, this is not a supply zone yet, okay, but this is a key level, especially if you look in the hourly time frame. Okay, you'll notice that this is the level that was broken. Okay, you can see the structural level right around here that was broken by this nice push to the downside, creating this hourly supply zone. So if early next week from here we get, let's say, a push to the upside, let's say from current market price we get a push to the upside into this particular supply zone in this area, anywhere from right around here, if we get any reversals to the downside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. That is pretty much my game plan for Australian dollar Swiss francs. Now, next up is going to be Swiss francs Japanese yen. Okay, that's going to be the last currency pair that I'll be taking a look at today. Now, from the weekly time frame, again, this is actually looking better than US dollar Japanese yen. Clear demand zone on the weekly time frame. Price is not yet at that particular level. So what I would love to see in the weekly time frame is for price to give me another push to the downside into that weekly demand zone, you know, maybe around 12300 or 12350 institutional price level before the bulls start coming into this market. That is going to be my preferred price movement in this particular currency pair. Now, zooming down into the daily time frame, what do we have here? Well, you notice that we got a very nice, you know, bullish push to the upside, and then finally right around here a decision was made, okay, because this was the last demand zone that was formed on the move to the upside. And you'll notice how from here the BS came into this market and broke this particular level, okay, this particular demand zone, and from there actually a supply zone was formed right around here, okay. And from there you will notice that well, price has given us a pullback into that supply zone, and you can see that we're getting slow rejections from there. Now that's something to just keep an eye on, okay. That supports the argument for the bears, and maybe from here, who knows, we might now finally get another push to the downside into that weekly demand zone that we had identified, from where maybe a decision will be made as to whether we are going to go up in this particular currency pair or whether we are now about to start maybe a downtrend, okay. But I prefer, or I favor the bullish move in this particular case, since we are in an uptrend. Okay, now looking into the 4 hours time frame, not much in my own opinion. Well, price gave a very nice setup. If I was trading this week, I would have traded this particular setup, okay. You can see this is the supply zone as a result of the break of this level of structure. Price gave us a push into that supply zone, and you can see that we are now dropping. So everything is pretty much adding up for the bears to continue pushing these markets to the downside, in my opinion. So I would not be surprised if next week, let's say, we get a little push to the upside, and then from there maybe the bears come into these markets and start pushing these markets again to the downside. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, I started making midweek forex forecast videos. Hopefully you gain some value from those type of videos. In my own opinion, I think it is important because, you know, we get to see the markets, you know, open for the week, and then trade a little bit to show us, you know, where the market is going. And then before we do another analysis, which is the midweek forex forecast, that shows us, you know, where the markets might go for the rest of the week. I think those videos are going to be valuable, and I hope you do feel the same way as well. And if you do, guys, please do not forget to click on that like button, subscribe to my channel, click on the notification bell so that you will always get updates whenever I post a video. Cheers, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and have a profitable week ahead.